Hey folks, it's Dan from the Conan Chronology here. It's really cold here in Denver today, so I thought I would beat the weather by staying inside and talking to you guys about another issue of Savage Sword that I feel like is underappreciated. And today that is Savage Sword of Conan, number 69. Eventually, I will be done with these for Savage Sword. I've got a couple lined up that I think we should talk about with Conan the Barbarian, or even a specific one-off issue I want to talk about one time, but that's neither here nor there. Today I want to talk about this one. Savage Sword number 69 is from October of 1981, which means when it came out, Roy Thomas, who is its author, had quit Marvel at least 11 or 12 months prior. We know he quit in 1980, and if he quit at the very end of 1980, he was gone for like at least 11 months. So Roy Thomas, his ghost is kind of hanging around in this issue. This is one of my absolute favorite periods of Savage Sword, just because there's so much tumult going on, and I love the Roy Thomas stuff. Like those first 60 some odd issues, they are so good. They're some of my favorite comic books ever written. But I think the churn is interesting. It's really interesting. We didn't get all of Roy's stories right in a row. It's not like he had four done by the time he had quit Marvel, but they didn't just publish those and pick up with a new writer. They had three by Michael Fleischer get published, and then they had two more by Bruce Jones come out, and then we got his final issues, and 69 would be his absolute final issue on the title for over a decade. He wouldn't come back until I think the cover date on his return issue is November 1991. The story of this issue starts back in 1977. Roy Thomas is at a fan meetup in Los Angeles, and there is a young science fiction fan there who is also trying to break into comics. Her name is Christy Marx. And Roy was kind of getting softballed the same questions he was usually asked. And apparently Christy stepped up and asked what his future goals and plans with the Conan title were moving forward, which kind of delighted him because he was used to getting more boring questions than that. And she ended up talking to him after the fan meetup, and she went home and banged out a story called The Child of Sorcery. Roy and her thought it would be interesting if there was a story told from the perspective of some of the women that Conan meets on his travels. So that's what that became, and that became Savage Sword number 29, Child of Sorcery. I don't own that issue, so I'll just throw up an image here. And that's a pretty good one. Christy Marx would continue to work in some comics after that, but ultimately she decided that comics was probably not where her destiny lay. Maybe it was more like animation. So she was doing less comics work by the 1980s when she reconnected with Roy, and she pitched him the story that would become Eye of the Sorcerer. Now, I noticed in Roy's final issues of Savage Sword, he is not plotting them himself. He is buying plots from other writers, and he is scripting the book, but he's not plotting them himself. And I asked Christy, I conducted a little bit of a short interview with her over email, because I find a lot of creators out there, like authors, you can just find their email. You can just email them as long as you're polite. Like, the worst thing they can do is just not respond to you. But I asked Christy if she felt like Roy kind of had like one foot out the door, and that's why he was buying plots from other writers. And she didn't say she thought I was right, but she did say it was a reasonable assumption. So I kind of wonder if Roy had one foot out the door and was, looking forward to working in DC and stuff like that. So he was just like, you know what, I'm going to buy a plot from Andrew J. Offit. I'm going to buy this plot from Christy Marx. I'm not so sure. But what Christy wrote would become Eye of the Sorcerer, number 69. And they don't credit her in the issue, which is kind of weird. I'll get to that in a little bit. So let's do a flip through of the issue. Starting with the cover. Now, I think this is sacrilege. I think people are going to be unhappy for me saying this. But I am not the biggest Jusko fan. We have a Joe Jusko cover. And as far as Savage Sword covers go, this might be one of the least betraying covers of the entire print run. It gives away so little as to what happens in this comic book. You have a lion that almost looks like a photo of a lion in the background, and you have Conan choking out a tiger. And there is a tiger and a lion in this story at the very, very end for a page or two, but it's such a weird cover for this. It doesn't give a whole lot away, so it's not my favorite for that reason. Also, Conan looks totally demented on it. I don't dislike Joe Jusko as a whole. He's done some incredible stuff like Savage Sword #1. That the cover of that one in the new Titan run is very cool, but I think he's a little more inconsistent than someone like John Buscema or maybe Gil Kane or one of the great painters like Earl Norham who did so many covers, or Neil Adams or something like that. I mean, legends, especially Neil Adams, but Joe Jusko sometimes not my cup of tea. No, I don't want to whinge too much about the cover or anything, but I guess here's what I mean when I'd say like a really good Savage Sword cover. This is Savage Sword 39, and my copy is positively beat to shit. But this is Roy's adaptation of L. Sprague de Camp's Legions of the Dead with an Earl Norham cover that I think is maybe one of the best Savage Sword covers of all time. You have zombie dudes who look sick as hell surrounding Conan, and they are, their weapons are covered in blood and gore, and he looks ready to fight him back. He's a bit cut up himself, and I love the blue of the title as well as the kind of blue motif in the background with the red and bronze at the center, showing Conan. And as a plus, this is like what actually happens in the issue. So when we get a cover like this that betrays so little about the issue, I don't know. It's just not my favorite. It's not a bad cover or anything. We've got Frontispiece by Pablo Marcos, who's an alright Conan artist. This one feels a little John Carter of Mars. We have Eye of the Sorcerer as our lead story here. There's a Romus Cucalis portfolio in the back who's pretty good. The Lost Race that I'm not going to cover. Then we got the Swords and Scrolls page. Here's what I was talking about with the editing being done by Wheezy Jones. Roy was gone by this point, and you can feel his ghost in the title. But things have changed, and I just love how much you see in this issue from that churn. This story specifically is put in this kind of strange time that was almost invented just for Savage Sword. It is after his Baroccan pirate period, and this is directly after issue 68. I guess they decided, or at least Roy decided, that after his Baroccan pirate period, he's going to spend some time in Ophir. And that's basically where this lands. So Conan is probably 30, 35, something like that. He's a bit of an older Conan, which is a little strange for some of the characterization here. Because by this point, Conan should be a tactician. He should be a little more intelligent than we do see in this issue. So it's not like super consistent, but it certainly doesn't ruin the issue or anything like that. Here's what I wanted to point out most importantly, though. A story by Roy Thomas, art by Ernie Chan and Alfredo Alcala. No mention of Christy Marx at all. And if you look at other issues of Savage Sword, like the previous one, 68, where they bought the plot from Andrew Offutt, they do credit a person who plotted the issue, even if they bought the plot. I got like a Reddit comment where someone was like, well, do they have to credit her if they bought the story? And yes, I mean, it appears at least it's their policy to do so. I do love this opening page, though. I think the credit here goes to Alfredo Alcala for just like the beautiful grays in this issue. The way that it's shaded, I think looks so good, and not a lot of Savage Sword issues look like that as far as the shading goes. So I think this issue looks really beautiful. And Ernie Chan, I think if I'm being honest, is a lot of the times just like a John Buscema clone. In fact, sometimes I'll read an issue penciled by Ernie Chan, and I'll think that it's Buscema for a little bit, and then I'll realize that it's not. He's not quite as good as Buscema, but I do think he's like 90%, just kind of aping Buscema's style. Anyway, Conan becomes embroiled with Valiana, this beautiful noble, as well as this older fellow named Udelis. And Udelis is pretty cool, actually. He's a one-off character who you like. That always kind of floats the Conan story quite a bit, but they have a bit of a competition to see who is going to be the captain of this caravan guard, and the win goes to Udelis, so they set out. This is what I'm talking about with the inconsistent characterization. Conan wins the physical challenges, but Valiana says who won isn't the point. Udelis kept his head. while you lost yours. And I think by this point it should probably be that Conan keeps his head a little bit better. What I really like is the next page, though. It appears that Conan is talking to Udelis's son, Dern, and is telling him the story of the Tower of the Elephant. We have, and lad, you never heard such a sound as that tower made when it came crashing down. So that's a little Easter egg for those who are looking for it. But really, there's like three big events in this story. They kind of get washed out in this canyon, and this leads them to this first set piece where they go looking for Dern in a cave, and there's these weird, like, very kind of sci-fi kind of bat people. They're kind of hairy. They're kind of like werewolf bat people. I don't know. But they are in this portal to this underground city that looks really cool. And I think, once again, the art here is kind of doing the heavy lifting as Conan is captured by these guys. And they have a mind tap where their leader learns Conan's language here. My only problem with this issue really is that it speeds through these things. I could spend a whole issue in this society and learning about these people and their ways and such, and see Conan get out of here in a more elaborate way. But by like the third page, I think we're in this like 6 pages from the entrance of the Batwing guys to their exit, never to be seen again. It's like 6 pages. So they get out and they close the portal kind of accidentally behind them. So that's the first of 3 big set pieces. Here comes my second favorite part of this issue. Conan is out hunting at night, and Valiana comes to him, and she's like supposed to be a gorgeous noble or whatever, and she offers to spend a night with him, if you will, in the grasses. And this is just what I think is so beautiful. What a fantastic full-page illustration here as Conan and her lay in the grass. I love the shading. I think it looks so good. And it truly some of Ernie Chan's finest work. It looks excellent. I also love when you get a full-page illustration to kind of contrast. You have the negative space of Conan and Valiana here, and the rest of it is black. And then you go back to the white dominating this side. It looks so good. Truly awesome art. Maybe we don't appreciate Ernie Chan quite enough. Our second big set piece is Conan tries to offer to this forest god, and Udelis rebukes him. Turns out we have a bear who appears to be sponsored by Target. He is the forest god. Conan fights him, and this time Udelis saves Conan. So the first time in the cave portal thing, Conan saved Udelis and Dern, and this time Udelis saves Conan. So now they're kind of coming to an understanding, and they are sort of even at this point. And this leads us to our final big set piece. It's also my favorite because it's just kind of weird. They are out in this plain, and this mountain keeps moving to the left and to the right, but apparently someone knows how to access it, because eventually they do get to the foot of the mountain, and we have some weird, like, Star Trek The Next Generation ass construction here. And I mean that as a compliment. It's kind of weird. It's kind of fun. I genuinely, I don't know what to think at this point in the story. It starts to get to this point where we're not sure who can be trusted, and we're not sure if Valiana's motives are pure or anything like that. But this woman just disappears with this like golden eagle offering. And then eventually there's like a giant butterfly that appears out of nowhere, and another offering. And eventually we're to this weird like onion kind of palace here. And we meet its occupant, who is this alien guy. It reminds me of the Venusian from that one episode of The Twilight Zone where the lunch counter guy takes off his paper cap and he has a third eye. We get this pointy-headed dude, Gyun of the three eyes. He's weird. I like him a lot. I like his design with his big like wings on his vest, kind of like Vegeta from Dragon Ball. And anyway, he apparently has the power to turn people into animals. Here's where we finally get our tiger and our lion from the cover. On page 38 is where we first see them. And I really love this 2-page spread. Once again, Ernie's killing it. Alfredo's killing it with just all the shading here. Giyun is so creepy, and I love his spit, stuck between his teeth there. Very cool. Love the third eye thing. Everybody gets turned into an animal at some point or another. Conan, of course, turns into a lion as he is Amra the lion, and Dern chokes out Giyun for a little bit. Anyway, fantastic ending where he skewers him with an arrow right in the third eye and then chops his dang head off. They get a little bit of treasure, and then Conan escapes with Udelis and Dern. All around, super adventuresome, a really fun story, and just kind of a great way to end Roy's Savage Sword tenure. This was his last issue on his original Savage Sword run, and he would not be back until issue 191. I think it might be 190. Might be 189. Anyway, he wouldn't be back until the about 120 issues later. So this was, our final time with Roy for a long time. I do really enjoy the Romus Cucalis portfolio here. It's a little Frank Frazetta. This is kind of the classic John Carter pose that he used that everybody kind of rips off, and it looks really good in black and white. I always like when it's strange beasts that don't exactly look like anything else, the weird in literature. You and I know how to kill a werewolf, or you and I know how to kill a vampire, but what the fuck is this thing? I don't know. And I love weird stuff like that. I'm going to skip over the Lost Race because I'm totally uninterested in it. And then we come to Swords and Scrolls at the very end is our letters page. Now I have a copy of Savage Sword 74 as it was a previous Unsung Sword issue. And here on the Swords and Scrolls paper, Swords and Scrolls pages, you'll have to excuse my my water damaged copy here. It says Department of Red-Faced Hyborian Apologies. Well, we goofed again. Remember SSOC number 69's Titanic Tale, Eye of the Sorcerer? Well, it was plotted by Christy Marx, whose credit was inadvertently left off both the story and the letter call on the story. So herewith, our apologies to Miss Marx and a promise to never do it again. So, have you read Savage Sword number 69? Am I giving it too high of praise? Do I need to talk more often about Ernie Chan? Was it completely offensive that I called him a John Buscema clone? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't already, go pick up this awesome issue. See you next time.